Hey guys, Paul from Net Audio here, and what we're going to talk about is actually a project we did quite a few months ago, but it was back from the shop because of some dealership issues. We'll leave it like that. And so we thought, hey, this would be a fun one to do a video on that's not a Dodge, but it's still Mopar related, but just because it had some different parameters we were trying to achieve. 6 or 7 years ago, a customer came to us and he had a Jeep JKU, so a Jeep 4-door Unlimited. He just wasn't happy with what was in there, and we made some different progressions and got everything resolved. And honestly, I didn't hear from him for a really long time, so my assumption was he was happy. Well, come about 6 months ago, I found out he was extremely happy because he bought a brand new Jeep, and this time he was like, just tell me what I need to do. We made a couple of different quotes, and he went for the big dog. So we're just here to go over it and go about what we chose and why we chose it for this Jeep. So what we have is a 2024 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon. Rubicon meaning, it's got all the fancy off-road stuff, but for where we're concerned, it meant that it had the Alpine system in it to begin with. Factory big screen, no reason to replace that. We used an AmpPro to tie in and get our audio signal. We used our harness that we make to plug in on the factory amplifier, and then we just went hog wild. For this application, the way this guy uses a Jeep is honestly the way a Jeep is made to be used. If it's nice weather, it is tops off, doors off, music cranked, enjoying the weather. In this case, the way it is right now, it's because he's fixing to go on vacation and tow it behind an RV, so it's all buttoned up. Because I know he drives with it naked, I know we have to make it dynamic. I know he wants it clear, and I know he wants a lot of bass, but at the end of the day, he uses the vehicle as a vehicle. So we can't just have a giant subwoofer box taking up space in the back. I know we're going to have the chance of it got left in some rain, so we have to have stuff that is moisture resistant, and we're having to cover up, knobby, noisy aftermarket tires. Again, I know we have to shoot for certain sound level goals. What we chose is Alpine speakers, Hertz amplifiers, and Audison subwoofers. I don't follow the whole premise of, I gotta have everything of the same brand. I don't care. The way I look at it is multi-tools generally don't excel at anything. I look for a purpose-made tool and I grab onto what it's designed to do. In this case, we took our signal from the AmpPro and we fed that to Hertz DSP, digital signal processor, to Hertz marine and motorcycle amplifiers. We use the Hertz SPL Show motorcycle DSP mainly because it's small. And the only reason we're after this is because we wanted just a little bit more control than what the amplifiers were going to give us. We're not shooting for like center imaging or sound quality studio type reproduction. We're not doing that. It's a Jeep. It's dang near impossible to get a Jeep sounding really good. It's not impossible, it's just really difficult, but that was not the goal here. We're using the marine processor because, again, dust, dirt, humidity, moisture, we know it's going to be exposed. Then we're feeding that to two marine 4-channel amplifiers. The amps are, I want to say, 165 by 4. We're running that on the different components in their different locations. Then we ran the other 4-channel bridged as a 2-channel to run the 2 subs, and we're just using the DSP to mono all the signals out so that the subs still play in unison. For speakers, we use the Alpine R2 series components, front and rear. We replaced the knee panel pods with the Metra knee panel pod replacements. So this upgrades it from a factory 4 that's ported to a sealed 6.5. Main reason, mid-bass. We want power handling that 4s generally don't have, and we wanted the mid-bass off of a 6.5. These are speakers we've used before. We use them on a pretty regular basis. But in Jeeps, because of all the JKs and JKUs that we've done over the years with the previous generation trucks, they have factory 6.5s. You replace those 6.5s and you generally do not get a lot of mid-bass. Not with these R2s. Man, they surprised the heck out of us. We were not expecting the punch that these things have inside of a Jeep. They sound great. They're aggressive. They're crunchy on the highs. The tweeter is magnesium, so they're bright and crisp. They get cut through all the noise. The woofer cone is a lightweight woven fiber. Very light, very musical and dynamic, very efficient. These speakers sound fantastic. We did the tweeters in the dash stock locations. We used our brackets that we make for that. Then we used the Metra knee panels. And then for the sound bar, They don't make anything for the 24s. The 23 changed, and the 24 is completely different on the sound bars, so nothing was off the shelf available for it. We ordered a kit for a 23, and it didn't fit. We ended up having to make our own piece. Honestly, it doesn't look like anything fancy, but took a lot of effort to get it to look like that, because we mimicked what the factory grill pattern was and gave it a lot of dimension and a lot of character to make it look like it belonged there. And then we surface mounted the R2 components on top of that. We treated the plastic panel to eliminate any sort of vibration and rattle, and then just ran the speakers in there. We're running the 4-channel just passive to each corner to give us plenty of volume. 165 by 4. Those Type Rs are screaming. The customer, I know, is running them to their fullest because he's told me he's at, what he's doing with it. They're taking it. They sound fantastic, and they're holding up and doing what they're supposed to. For subwoofers, if you've talked to us, one of our go-to subs is the Audison Prima 10, the APS 10, and 10D. We love those little woofers. They're optimized for around a 0.4 cubic foot airspace. Shallow tin, super small box, and they're made for tiny little boxes. But they're efficient, and they'll take 400 to 500 watts a piece. We're running that 4-channel amp. It's 250 at 2 ohm, bridged. It's 500 stereo. We're running roughly 1,000 watts on this pair of tins. We used 1/2-inch birch on the box instead of our typical MDF. Couple of reasons. One, it's plywood. It's not MDF. Again, we're coming back to we know there's going to be a chance of moisture. MDF, it's a great wood. It's inexpensive compared to other like birch plywood and doing big expensive materials. But the MDF also, it soaks up water like a sponge, and if it's continually getting wet, then it swells up, makes the joints fail, makes it just look ugly and fall apart. We did not want that, so we kind of treated this more like you would a boat instead of a car. The other reason is the birch, like I said, it's lighter, but it's also denser. It's a stronger material. So even though we're using, in this case, we used 1/2-inch birch instead of 3/4 MDF. So we're using thinner wood, but it's still strong because it's a small enclosure. And that extra 1/4 inch of material that we lost gained us airspace. So we were able to make this box as absolutely small as I could. So you still have access to the cargo floor that's in the floor of the Jeep, but the enclosure itself is only 6 inches tall. You can still throw luggage and gear and all sorts of whatever on top of it, and you're not worried about damaging the enclosure. It's just a carpeted enclosure, so it blends in instead of doing bed liner that stands out. Man, does it have some great output. Big, deep bass, plenty of power, plenty of output, and it blends with the highs extremely well. So it's enough volume to be able to cut through the road noise and everything when you're going down the highway with the naked Jeep. We'll show you on the truck. We'll give you a bunch of photos and everything, and you can flip the seat forward. You see how dusty and dirty and everything is under there. He uses this Jeep. This is why it was so important for us to use the equipment that we used, but you can see everything is held up and installation is super solid and clean, but it still sounds great and it's still kicking along. Hopefully this has given you all some information. You have some ideas. If there's anything you want to ask us, be sure to definitely hit us up in the comments below. You can always hit us up on social media with Facebook and Instagram. Shoot us an email at paul@netaudio.com, or you can feel free to absolutely call the shop, 940-767-1800. These are all products and bundles that we make and sell. So if there's anything that you want to make or do with your personal vehicle, we can sell you all the parts and pieces needed to work through this. If you have questions, absolutely hit us up and we'll be able to help you out. Thanks, guys.